If you're looking to buy, repair, sell, update or restore your Apple Mac, Minko's Macs offers a personal, genuine service to all customers with many years of experience and specialist technicians in store.
Okay, so here we have a board that's, well, MacBook that's severely water damaged. As you can see, water's coming all from around here. Status of it is unknown and we'll be attempting to repair this. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is start to take it apart and get the board out so we can see exactly what's going on with this board here. As you can see, the battery has already been disconnected on this, as the battery is not something you want to leave connected. So we'll go ahead and start removing the cables. That's always great to see, even residue underneath this. So this is definitely a board that will have to go through our ultrasonic cleaner just to make sure there's no nasty residue left over on it, and I don't think I'll be reusing any of the chemicals in the ultrasonic cleaner after throwing this board through, because this board already does not look very good. We'll go ahead and remove those components. It's the trackpad cable. Unsure to why it's been held on with this, so there's no need to have this over it. It has double-sided stick on it anyways. And the next bit, it's gone so bad that I can't even remove that. Okay, so grab a set of tweezers, carefully pull this out. Smells like it's fallen somewhere in a forest or something. Okay, that's been removed. Next bit, remove this connector. The speaker connector. Camera connector. Let's hope the display hasn't been too badly affected, as there is a bit of residue on the display. Looks like the display connector has some residue on it. Remove the SSD. Hopefully the data is still intact. Alright, remove the next speaker connector. Wouldn't say it's safe to really use this battery after this. Okay, now that's been removed. Move that to the side. Grab a J00 bit. This is the model with the T5s. Everyone need to make up their mind already on what screws they're trying to use. Okay, so now that this is out, I'm going to have to remove the heatsink. One of the rubber pieces has already come off by the looks of it. Definitely washing my hands after this. Oh wow, that really is not good. There's quite a spectacular amount of liquid damage. Well, most I've ever seen really. They chuck it in an ocean, who knows? It looks like it just got stuck outside somewhere, probably in a garden or something while it was raining. Unsure to why that would happen, but it seems to have happened. Don't forget this little connector over here, which is also a non-existent one. There we go. Everything is clear, and that's been removed. We'll put the chassis away for now because what we want to look at is the actual board. So, taking a look at the actual board, if we zoom in. As you can see, this liquid that's come over here, it's pretty much brushed down this whole side here. It's definitely gone under the SMC as well. Definitely under the NVRAM chip. It's touched the ISL chip. Not sure of that view status, not sure of that gate status. This is not looking great so far. So, display wise, something has blown here, as there is discoloration of this part here, which I should be able to show you close up. There's discoloration right here, and I'm not talking about the red indicator. Around the pins here there will be discoloration. You can see there's clearly more residue. Okay, let's see how much components of the CPU that it's touched. So I'll go ahead and remove these, please. Hopefully it hasn't touched too many things. Okay, so for the most part, this looks mainly untouched to this area, which is good. That's where the CPU is. So I guess the next step on this would be to actually clean this board up, as it very clearly looks like it needs a cleaning. And then once it's cleaned, go through everything. So I think that will be the first step, because there's also quite a lot of weird oil residue, which is, needs to say, not great. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this board up, and then it'll be brought back for us to further take a look at and see what's wrong with it, because I do not want to put any sort of power through this board when it's in this sort of a state. So I'll be back once this has been cleaned. Alright, so now that this board has been lightly cleaned, basic scrub down with some isopropyl, there's still some areas that still have moisture from the cleaning, which this board will need to be ran through the ultrasonic, but you can very clearly see where it's water damaged. So there's water damage here, there's water damage around this resistor and this IC here, there's also water damage on the legs here. There's water damage here as well. There's water damage in this area. quite a lot of liquid damage going on, which is not great. So I'm gonna take a look under the SMC to see what's going on with that. And it looks like liquid has also got under there. So as you can see, liquid's got under all of it. That connector is very clearly blown. Quite literally blown. Yeah. Yeah, so this connector will also need changing. And there's some water damage here, which this is I believe this is the JTAG connector at the top. It's either going to be this bottom bit or this is going to be for CPU related debugging hardware, which is bad that there's liquid damage here, because that could have killed the whole machine if it was powered when this happened. Even if it wasn't powered, standby rails and etc., that's the last thing you want going to the CPU. Taking a look here, you can see, I can see that there's very clear lines of liquid have gone through this, which is really bad. So yeah, I think it's best this gets ran through an ultrasonic cleaner before I begin any work on it, as I don't think it's a good idea to start working on it when it's in this state. It will just make more of a mess of the board, which is highly unprofessional. Alright, so we're back with the water damaged MacBook Retina. Now, it's all been ran through an ultrasonic cleaner. It all seems to be working pretty well. So this board seems to have power now. This display connector needs to be replaced, however, which I'm going to get onto now, because there is parts of it that are blown and just not working right. Thankfully, because this was ran through the ultrasonic cleaner and then tested, doesn't seem like there's any more real work to do other than change this display connector and test it out. Now, there may be more damage, which is why we will go through the whole system and check everything out. So I've now removed that connector that was faulty. As you can see, there is no connector, and I'm going to grab the one off the MacBook Air. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now these connectors are practically identical, so it's fine to swap them around. This is a faulty board, so I'd much rather reuse it for something that works out. So that connector has been taken off now. That's going to be put on. So I'll go ahead and attach that connector. Now, changing the actual connector isn't really the difficult bit. It's making sure the connector sits completely flush and proper with the actual board. So now I need to inspect the connector. It looks like all the pins are in line. You won't be able to see this on the camera, as it's rather difficult to get the angle for this. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that all these anchor points are anchoring. Now I'm just going to do some drag soldering to make sure all those pins are connected. Gonna need some flux for this. Okay, good. We've got flux. Go ahead and drag my iron across that, making sure it's all connected. There will be some bridging, which I will remove anyways. Bridging is not difficult to remove when you have quality wick on your hands. So, let's go ahead and remove the bridging. Getting rather difficult to see now, so I'm going to have to just get my light in position. Okay, it's not giving me the best angle. Clean this up a bit. Okay, so from what I can see, there's a slightly bent pin here. Alright, looks like I'll need a knife to properly do this. Let's try and get this in better view for you guys. Rather difficult to get a view. And I'll just cut my wick afresh. so I can do this properly. Grab my iron. Now sometimes when I can't get a bridge removed, I will also cut the bridge manually. Now left-handed soldering, not my greatest part. Actually, I'll turn this around so I can properly do this. Clean that area, got a bridge. As you can see, replacing a simple connector is not so easy if you want it done right. Okay, so that's finally been done. Now the other issue with this board is one of the pins is blown on the display connector, so we're going to go ahead and fix that. So first, clean up our flux here, inspect the joint. I can see a bridge which is not so good, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that bridge. What I'm doing here is I'm just sticking a knife in between just to make sure. Now I need to expose a trace. Now when you're exposing traces, clean as you go. Okay, that's enough of that exposed. So now we're going to apply some solder to that area and carry it over to the pin. So I'm going to apply some solder there and carry it over to the pin. Okay, good. Then the next part will be to actually bridge this over. So I'm going to need some small amount of wire. Alright, so I have the wire that's needed now. So I'm going to go ahead and start sorting that out. So this needs to specifically go to one pin. And that one pin is right next to it, so thankfully it does not need to be that long. So first thing I'm going to do is sort out this wire. That's being connected. I'm going to go ahead and cut the wire. There we go. So now next thing is to check that it actually outputs to a display. So I'm going to go ahead, grab a display. Got a display here. Got a form of sending power to this. Let's go ahead and check that this is all working now. Double check all my connections as to make sure not to damage the display. Alright, the Apple logo at the back has lit up, indicating that we do indeed have a backlight. Now we just need to wait and see. Normally there will be a small flashing logo saying, hey, you've got no drive installed, which is precisely what we want to see. So we'll just wait for that. Okay, once again, we have a backlight with this temperamental screen. So we will just have to wait until we actually get a proper response from this. So I'm gonna pause the video here and wait and see what happens. Oh, looks like I actually don't need to pause. So we've got screen. Alright, so now this just needs to go back together into its chassis. So we'll get back onto that. Alright, so disconnecting everything now. Looks like our display connector change was successful. We'll go ahead and get that into its chassis. So this is the previously water damaged chassis, but as you can see, it's mostly fine. Even the backlight has gone through the ultrasonic. I've personally taken this backlight apart and made sure everything was fine with it. Alright, so back for reassembling this machine now. So for the most part, this machine doesn't require too much reassembly, although the ultrasonic taking the magnet off that was here previously, I've cleaned up that magnet and I've applied some tissue tape to it so it can now go down cleanly. As you can see, that tissue tape has been cut out exactly for this magnet. If it would just go into place, that would make my day. Doesn't look like it's wanting to do that. And it's stuck there. Great. Okay, there we go, got it in place now, solid, all good. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab our back plate, fit that down, and in order for us to probably fit this down, I'm just going to connect the keyboard connector. This one connector I hate the most is these keyboard connectors. Zero insertion for sockets are a myth. They don't exist. It's a massive lie. Okay, so that's how that will connect. And you will go ahead and grab a T3 bit. Now one of these screws was damaged in the process. We're not going to be putting back a stripped screw. That's a massive no. We don't put back stripped screws because if you go to do a repair elsewhere, or even here, it just makes it a lot more difficult to actually open up your MacBook, and some cases can require cutting, which is not a great thing to do. So it's better that once that screws out, you just don't put it back in if it's non-critical. If it's critical, then get it replaced. Go. This will be generally where the battery lays. Unfortunately, when it goes through water damage, you don't want to put a water damaged battery back where it's come from. Go ahead and quickly move this board a bit so we can actually install this screw. And make sure that all sits down properly. Yep. Then we'll go ahead and grab the screw that goes into there, which looks like this one here. That's going to be a T5. I really hate Apple. Sometimes they're J00s, sometimes they're T5s. It's a lottery. Go ahead and install the fan screws. Make sure the fan is held down. It's not the long screw that I'm looking for. Here we have the long screw. Go ahead and get that fitted. Short screw goes in here. Then we'll go ahead and screw down the board. Okay, the screw's threading is mostly gone, so we won't be using that. Sure the charger port is in its position. There we go. Okay, good, we're not missing any screws. Screw this down. Okay, we'll do those screen latches later. Sure we've got that in. That's that in. Alright, so now that that's all reassembled, we don't have a battery right now, so we're going to go ahead and test it without one. It won't be important for now. What's important is that this whole machine is working. Some keycaps will have to be replaced as they didn't fare so great. Yeah, all of that is connected. So now we're going to go ahead and see how well this works. Go ahead and connect it. We've got an orange light. We'll also have to test for keyboard backlight at some point. We've got screen backlight. While we wait for that folder icon, I'm going to go ahead and just rub down this bezel. Okay, is there a dead zone somewhere in this trackpad? No. Okay, yeah, so this trackpad will probably need a further look, as it looks like it needs a bit more pressure. Probably just needs to be dried out a bit more after all the cleaning was done to it. So I'll probably dry this pad out a bit more just to make sure it's all good. Other than that, I will test what exact keys are having a hard time. For the most part, this is done. So we went from a completely water damaged machine to something that for the most part works. That's about it. Alright, so we are back again. Couldn't quite leave it with the broken keyboard and whatnot. Wasn't really happy with that. So as you can see, we replaced the keyboard on this machine. So now everything is working fine. So if I go ahead and put the password in, it's not behaving buggy anymore. And as you can see, the trackpad is now working fine, which is a good thing. So everything is working as intended. Especially this keyboard was bugging me in the last part, so now that's been fixed. So now this machine is fully operational. We've got a battery also fitted, which is holding charge. As you can see, Everything's now been set up on this properly, and yeah, from the machine going from severely water damaged to the state it is in now, it's quite lucky, and it was quite a challenging form of repair to do, as it was severely water damaged. But in the end, we've got it working, everything's working perfectly, so now this machine can actually be used again.